I was one of the few black girls for a while growing up.
Hi, this is Nicole Glass, and welcome to Creating Your Own Reality podcast. Hey guys, thank you so much for coming back to my show, Creating Your Own Reality podcast. And I'm so excited for this episode called Mental Looping. But first, I want to tell everybody where I am and what I'm doing, since most of the people watching know me personally. And right now, I am in Atlanta, Georgia. It is so beautiful. The food is so amazing. The culture is so rich. And this is not my first time here, but it is my first time here as a conscious adult. And so I'm able to do the things and activities that I want to do. So it's really exciting. The reason why I came over here to prioritize my family on my dad's side and spend time with them and get to know them more. You know, when my dad passed away, I would say that my relationships, dwindled with his side of the family, like as I was going through my morning, as everybody was going through their morning, and as I was going through school, and just focused on things like college and tests and stuff like that. I never was able to build the deep relationship that I wanted to build. And now that I'm 26 and my life is more settled, I'm, putting out intentions to build deeper and better relationships with them. Shout out to Aunt Sharon, shout out Tasha, shout out Shayna. I love you guys. And thank you so much for, welcoming me with warm arms and making it feel like there wasn't even a beat missed. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing out here. It is seriously a plus that the food is amazing. It's a plus that the real estate market out here is amazing. And it is a plus that the nature and the hiking trails are also amazing. I love Atlanta, Georgia. It is a rising tech hub, but most importantly, it is a Black tech hub where Black entrepreneurs and Black tech people are thriving here. And it is really exciting to see and be in an environment of lots of successful, well-to-do Black people, and be inspired by people that look like me, do better than me. So I'm just surrounded by so much love and joy, and I'm happy to be here. So today's topic is called mental looping. And this is also one of my favorite topics to talk about because it was something that I didn't discover that I was doing until a lot later in life. I would say 25 years old, 24, 25. And because I was doing it, I wasted a lot of energy, and I was not in the present moment as much as I should have been because I was thinking of things regarding the past. And so I want to really first talk about what mental looping is for anyone that isn't familiar with the term. So mental looping is when we replay a story or a pattern or a scenario in our heads that might have really, upset us. And so we replay that story and we think about it over and over and over, whether it be mental looping can happen for an entire day. It could happen for a couple of weeks, it could happen for months, and mental looping of the same story could happen for a couple of years, depending on how traumatic it is. But if you are used to thinking about things that happened a couple of years ago, then most likely you're experiencing mental looping. I think a lot of people do. I don't want to say everyone because I just don't know, but I think a lot of people tend to, get stuck in the past and tend to get stuck in, how this person made me feel or how this person wronged me or what have you. But oftentimes when we're thinking about it, the other person is not thinking about it. The only person we are hurting are ourselves. And, the moment that I recognized this pattern within myself was the moment that I was able to seriously unlock a superpower and regain a lot of my energy back. And I would say it's extremely important for just anyone in general, but especially entrepreneurs, because we do have a lot on our plate. So if we are doing something like that, it is, it's a really unproductive task and it takes a lot of energy out of you. And so I want to give you guys an example of how I was mental looping and how it was hurting me and how I overcame that aspect of my life. And so one of the ways in which that I would mentally loop was when, I might have hurt someone's feelings, or someone felt disappointed in me, or I made someone feel bad, because I think a big part of, who I am, I love to make people happy. I am a people pleaser at heart. I just want to make sure everyone feels good around me. And, every time they leave my presence, they're filled and not drained. And so if I was ever draining someone, or if I am ever draining someone, or if I'm ever, giving someone a bad experience with me, it really sticks within me, and I replay that story over, no matter what it is. It could be with family or friends, but I replay that story over and over. I'm like, okay, what could I have done differently? What should I message the person now and I apologize? And I just continue to just replay those stories and those patterns over and over and over again until I feel like I'm able to resolve it somehow or make the person happy. And this was extremely draining to my energy. This was extremely exhausting. You can't please everyone, and I don't know why I tried. Now I'm like more in my, I would say, comfort of being okay with people being dissatisfied or unhappy with me. I think that's just a part of life. Again, I realize I can't please everyone, and I just release that energy of me trying to essentially just be perfect. Like, nobody can, and so I let it go. One of the ways that I was able to realize that I was mental looping was just reading a book, and a psychologist book, and seeing the term itself and being like, wow, I'm in my head a lot. I do this a lot. This is, your mental energy when you're thinking about something, it's using up a lot of, your energy throughout the day. So if you're someone who's feeling tired or groggy throughout the day, and you just don't know why, like, why am I always so tired? It's probably because you're thinking a lot. You never let go of your internal thoughts, your internal thinking, your internal patterns. You never let your mind rest. And I read this book, I believe it was, I think, like a monk, from Jay Shetty, and he was basically saying, like, the best thing you can do for your mind is think about absolutely nothing. Like, just let your mind rest. And so this is really helpful with meditation, because once you start to be quiet, once you start to meditate and you try, you'll realize how difficult it is to silence your mind. And then you'll come to the realization of, like, wow, it's like a chatterbox up there 24/7, and that is exhausting. So taking that like 10 to 15 minutes every day to meditate and to think about nothing is just like giving your mind a break. And you do have to practice it, right? Because it's not something that we're used to or accustomed to doing. We're not used to being mentally silent, but let me tell you, you will reserve so much more energy the more you practice it and the more you are able to do it, because you can live in a state of just presence and being. It just takes a really, really long time for you to unlearn the unhealthy thought patterns that you might have learned in the past. And so one of the ways that I was able to stop mental looping was just simply by recognizing it. I think one of the main things that we have to accept within ourselves is that we are not our thoughts, right? We are the one listening to our thoughts, because, you hear your thoughts, right? So you are not the thought, you are the one listening to the thought. So if you're constantly having the same thoughts over and over and over, and they are not healthy for you, what I tend to do, because, I still mental loop to this day, no one's perfect. I'm still trying to actively, stop this pattern, obviously. But every day, every year, it's getting better and better and better. And my mental chatter is getting less and less and less. And I make sure that I have, checks and balances in place for myself, so that way I recognize when I'm doing it. And so when I start doing it, I just call myself out. Oh, you're looping. Okay, you're repeating an old pattern. You're repeating an old story. It's not helping you right now. Focus on the present moment. What are you doing? Whether that's like picking up the smells, whether that's identifying a color in a room, but just being present and recognizing when it's happening so you could be like, okay, stop. Okay, you're looping. Okay, stop. And then so the recognition, that was really the key for me, the understanding of being like, this is a pattern that I can stop. This is a pattern that I have control to stop. So, let's work on that. And so that was like really exciting for me, because I didn't need to be in my head all the time or thinking about the same patterns over and over and over again. I could release myself from that mental prison. And so the recognition helped. And then just like being kind to myself, I think was really important, because, you're not going to get it the first couple weeks or even the first couple months, but just constantly pointing it out and being like, hey, it's okay. You're mental looping, release, let it go, focus on what you're doing. And then just being patient with yourself, because this is something that most of us have been doing for a couple decades now. And so it's going to be something that takes a lot of time and a lot of focus to release. And so it was really harmful. I think I want to go into the next portion of like why it was so harmful to me. And I think it was really harmful to me because it was putting me in a depressed and anxious state. And I wouldn't say like, I was battling depression, but I was definitely dealing with a lot of anxiety because I was overthinking, and I was not really enjoying what was going on around me to the full extent of which I could have. And I think that's why when people are around me, oftentimes I get a lot of feedback of, oh, your energy is so good. It's so nice to hang around you, because, I'm present. I'm a good listener. I'm actually here with you. I'm not on my phone. I'm not paying attention. I'm not in my head. I'm not thinking about anything else. It's just you and me. And we're just having our conversation, or we're just doing an activity, like whatever it is. And so because I was able to get out of my head and not identify with my thoughts, and introduce new, healthier thought patterns, it has been a complete game changer for me. And it was harmful to, my relationships that I had with other people, because if I'm repeating these same stories and these same patterns, you start to feel a negative way about a person, because, they're living rent free in your head. And then you feel negatively about an encounter or an interaction, and you're thinking about it over and over, and you're letting your emotions arise over and over repeatedly with that same person. And you start to project negative energy when you're with them. And so I would say mental looping definitely hurt some of my relationships. Mental looping hurt, the energy that I had throughout the day. Mental looping probably, made me miss opportunities that I wasn't able to see because I was too stuck in my head. So it's extremely destructive. It's extremely debilitating. And it's definitely something that I'm so, so happy that I recognized within myself and was able to overcome. And so I would say, again, the first thing is recognition. The second thing is being kind to yourself. And then the third thing is having patience, because it is going to take a very, very long time for you to get on the other side of mental looping if you've been doing it for a really, really long time, which most of us have. Again, like, I'm not a super crazy expert on this topic. It's something that I just recognize within myself, and I'm like, I have to share this information. If you're trying to level up to the next step, and if you're trying to get to the best version of yourself, and if you're trying to connect and build deeper and better relationships, this is definitely something that is super important, and it's definitely something that you have to recognize and stop immediately. And it's an everyday practice. Meditation helps tremendously with this, because when you try to be quiet, you'll realize how loud it is in your head. And that is literally why I meditate. I think you have to have a reason for meditation to really get into it. And for me, it's to quiet my mind and to feel what it feels like to have no thoughts, to feel what it feels like to be completely free and completely transcendent of, what I have to do during the day or what happened yesterday or concerned with someone else's problem or issue. When I'm meditating, it's just me and my breath work. Enough. I don't think about anything else. I sometimes put on a timer. I sometimes don't. And I just allow my mind to think about absolutely nothing. And it is the most peaceful time that I have with myself throughout the entire day. And I highly, highly, highly recommend for anybody listening on the other end to practice meditation. It's extremely healing, and I think you'll realize a lot about yourself in the process. And if you enjoyed this episode, if it was something where you were like, Eureka, wow, Nicole, thank you so much for helping me. I'm going to need you to like, subscribe, and hit that share button right down below. Share this with a friend, share this with a family member, share this with someone who you think might need this. And also share some feedback with me. If you feel like you can add to the conversation, we can talk right in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for joining me again today as I'm in Atlanta. I love you. I'm here with you, and let's grow together. Have a good one, guys.